It occurs to me that, well, especially being a Western 21st century man, I have a poverty of experience of family in the way that, for instance, I see in New Zealand Maori culture to, at least recently, have been, it's decaying at a phenomenal rate with Western influence, but, with 21st century influence is what I now mean. Not particularly Western, is it? It's the way the world's going. But I see here, well, if you like, the remains of what was once a tribal structure. The elders in the tribe, families in the tribe. I think what they call a whānau relationship, which is very much of kindred, sort of greater family, but obviously their own immediate family within that. Whereas increasingly the 21st century situation of man is in the West, or what we think of as West. We're further east than China here, or further west than America. It depends which way you look at it, really. It's one of isolation, you know. Our chronic malady is isolation. It is what the 21st century is about. It has a magnificent communication system and a poverty of relational experience at the same time. They're two sides of the same coin, I think, in some strange way. And therefore it's hard to understand from our purely, say, Western 21st century experience what the kingdom of heaven ideally is. Because we've not experienced what we might term traditional tribal structure, which is even further back than traditional Western family structure, which became increasingly nuclear in appearance and now is, well, just disintegrating into not even nuclear family, but one parent family, and in large measure not even a parent at all. You've lost the kids, or you never had them. It seems desperately sad, in a way, compared to our understood, anyway, historic roots of our cultures. That's a very negative approach, and I don't hold with it as a living reality, because I have a determination to trust the now, to be as God will have it, and my God being an all-loving and all-powerful God at that. So I'm not saying actually that the 21st century Western situation of man in isolation is in some sense bad. My God's allowing it because it's good in some way. Don't mean to say I've necessarily fathomed out what that is, except that we may more acutely now feel the need, although not understand what we need. So we're left in an isolation that makes us cry out for answers. And that's what all this New Age philosophy and self-help and so on, and PC concern and utopian society goals is about. It's part of a more focused and somewhat desperate call for help. Seek and you shall find. Our very dilemma is driving us to find solutions. And my YouTube series of talks is a consequence of that in my life, isn't it? You know, I wasn't born into some tribal or really nuclear family structure. It was a nuclear family that was a nightmare to all three persons concerned. My mum, dad and myself. Not a pure nightmare. I mean, I learned love and care from mum, and all three of us were afforded, the necessities of life, but more than that. But emotionally and spiritually, chaos, really, in some ways. I don't feel the love bond between mum and myself was chaos. Don't mean it didn't disintegrate, of course, as I moved from adolescence into adulthood and in the secular sense. I shifted fast into humanism. I picked up values from mum which I don't think she really valued in me. That's strange to say, isn't it? I mean, she valued me, but very much what I could become in her eyes. I mean, she would like me to have become an officer in the army, would you believe? I mean, seemed a good idea when I was younger, but not such a good idea as I got older. I thought, that's the last thing I want. And she thought it'd be nice if I were a pilot. I didn't see that as terribly rewarding. So we drifted apart. She couldn't understand me, I think, in the end. When I said I'd become Christian, she said, oh, you'll grow out of it. When I became vegetarian, she said, oh, you'll wreck your health. You know, it wasn't a concern for the animals. The mum I related to wasn't the mum that I was now seeing in later adolescence. And early adulthood. Is that sad? Not really. We trust in God, don't we? Well, we do now in hindsight. Thank you, Father. And I'm sure you love Mum more than I loved Mum as a kiddie, even. And if I'm more able to love her and care for her. God is an awesome God. Love you, Dad. Love you, Dad. Thank you, Dad.